I finally found out why Imu wants Vivi, and it's not just obsession. It's something ancient, calculated, something that confirms her fate was sealed long before the story even began. For years we thought Vivi was safe, off-screen, maybe irrelevant to the final war. But now after what Oda revealed in Elbaf, and the twisted connection between Imu, Gunko, and Queen Lily, everything points to one terrifying conclusion. Imu isn't just targeting Vivi, they're preparing to use her. And if that's true, then what happens next might decide who controls the final ancient weapon. Elbaf isn't just another arc. It's the arc that redefined everything. For years, fans thought Elbaf would just be the land of giants. Some epic battles, a few Norse nods, maybe a moment of glory for Usopp. But what Oda delivered was something way deeper, way darker. We're talking revelations that go straight to the heart of the Void Century. The ancient weapons and, most shockingly, the role of the celestial dragons in shaping history itself. And at the center of all this madness, lurking behind the chaos, is Imu, the most mysterious figure in the entire series. But here's where it gets insane. Imu just showed their true power for the very first time, and it didn't come through some flashy confrontation or a throne room showdown. No, it happened in the most unexpected, terrifying way possible, through the possession of Gunko, that ancient, horrifying creature sealed away by time and legend. Now, most people saw that moment and thought, okay, cool, Imu's strong. But that's not the point. The point is that Imu didn't just show strength, they revealed something about their nature, something horrifying. Because if Imu can literally possess and control Gunko, a mythical beast that predates almost all current civilizations, then what does that say about Imu's origin? Or even worse, what does that say about their endgame? And this is where Vivi comes in, because Elbaf didn't just give us a monster, it gave us clarity. Twisted, terrifying clarity about Vivi's future. This isn't just about some kidnapped princess anymore. Number Vivi isn't a damsel, she's the trigger. The final piece of the puzzle that the world government needs to keep their grip on the world, or maybe even to transcend it entirely. Her bloodline goes all the way back to the 20 Kings, but unlike the other royal families, the Nefertari line stayed behind. They didn't go to Maria Joie, they didn't take the throne. And Imu? They've clearly never forgotten that. So when you see Vivi being hunted across the seas, not by pirates, not by bounty hunters, but by the full wrath of the world government, it's not about politics anymore. It's personal, it's ancient, and it's connected to whatever Imu just awakened inside Gunko. But that's not even the wildest part, because there's one more thing this arc quietly confirms if you're really paying attention. Something about Vivi's role in the final war and what her fate might be if Imu succeeds. And that part might break you. But before we even get there, we need to talk about why Gunko was sealed away in the first place and who did it. Because this secret doesn't just involve Elbaf, it involves the will of the very first Joy Boy. Vivi might not be swinging a sword right now or standing on the front lines with the Straw Hats, but don't let that fool you for a second, because she's not just important to the story, she might be the key to its ending. Think back to when she reappeared right before the Reverie. At first it felt like a nostalgic callback, right? A nod to her importance in Alabasta and her bond with the Straw Hats. But then everything started spiraling. The moment the Reverie kicked off, things escalated fast. Too fast. Suddenly, Vivi wasn't just part of a political gathering. She was caught in the crossfire of a silent war behind the scenes. Her father, King Cobra, got murdered. CP0 was moving in. The halls of power started to collapse, and guess whose photo Imu was obsessively staring at? It wasn't just Luffy, it wasn't just Shirahoshi, it was Vivi. That scene alone told us everything we needed to know, but Oda didn't stop there, he doubled down. Because when Cobra confronted the Gorosei, and Imu finally spoke, Oma thing, we waited decades for the very first name out of Imu's mouth was Lily. Not Joy Boy, not Nika, not even the ancient weapons. It was her. And right after that, Cobra dies, Vivi gets kidnapped, and the truth starts unraveling faster than anyone expected. She escapes, thanks to Wapol of all people. Yeah, I know, that guy. But she's not free. Not really. She's just running from something that's clearly far bigger than her. Something that's been in motion since before she was born. She may have reached out to the Straw Hats, but that shadow chasing her? It's not going away. And what comes next might explain why Imu wants her so badly. Now let's get back the topic to Gunko to establish how this was very connected to her, and some minor or maybe new major theory bombshell about Gunko that we can connect to Vivi on why really Imu wanted her so bad. So let's recap what we have tackled a while ago. Imu takes control of Gunko, not commands, not orders. Literal possession. The kind of control that screams something deeper, something unnatural. And what makes this even more chilling? Gunko isn't just some random beast. She's heavily implied to have once been a princess, a former royal. Just like Vivi, it's not a coincidence, it's a pattern. Imu didn't choose Gunko randomly. They picked her for a reason. Speculations that she was a former princess, a body with lineage, a vessel that fits something ancient and specific. And that's when the pieces start clicking into place. What if Imu has done this before? What if Gunko wasn't the first? What if Imu is seeking out these royal-blooded women specifically to possess them, to use their bodies as vessels to extend their own existence? And if that's the case, then Vivi isn't just being hunted for political reasons. She's being hunted because she's the perfect vessel, the perfect bloodline, the descendant of Queen Lily, the one royal who didn't submit to the 20 kings, the one line that defied Imu. And maybe, just maybe, Imu's trying to fix that mistake by taking her body. And if that's true, then Vivi isn't just in danger. She's walking into a fate that's already been sealed once before. But here's the chilling part. What if this isn't the first time a princess has been turned into a monster? What if Gunko is proof that Vivi's fate has already played out in the past? Now here's where things really start to spiral into dangerous territory, because this isn't just about possession anymore. This might actually go all the way back to Queen Lily, the mysterious royal figure who disappeared right after the Great War. Remember, Lily never returned to her kingdom. She vanished without a trace, leaving only that single letter behind. And for years, that felt like a historical footnote. But now, with everything we've seen from Imu, it's starting to feel like Lily's disappearance wasn't just some tragic accident. It might have been the very beginning of Imu's twisted plan. Because let's think about it. If Gunko was once a princess, and Imu took over her body, what's stopping us from considering that Lily, one of the 20 founders of the world government, was actually Imu's first vessel? That would explain why she disappeared. That would explain why Imu knows her name so well. That would even explain why the world government kept Lily's existence buried for centuries. It's possible that Imu took over her body, merged their existence, and turned Lily into something immortal, something monstrous. And it doesn't stop there. Because if Lily was the original vessel for Uranus, the ancient weapon tied to the sky, then Vivi being her descendant isn't just symbolic, it's literal. Vivi could be the new key to Uranus, the next Shirahoshi, but for a weapon we barely even understand. Poseidon is passed through the royal line of fishmen, so who's to say Uranus doesn't follow a similar pattern? What if that power lies dormant in Vivi, hidden in her blood, waiting for someone to awaken it? And Imu might need that, might need her. Not just to maintain control, but to unlock the last remaining piece of their ultimate weapon. And that's why, even though Vivi escaped once, the danger isn't over. It's escalating. If Imu managed to control Lily before and Gunko now, then Vivi might be next. And this time, they won't let her get away so easily. But there's something else people aren't talking about. Something hidden beneath the surface of this entire theory. What if Vivi's role isn't just about being captured, but about choosing whether or not to awaken the power inside her? Because what if she has to decide between saving the world or burning it all down? Okay, so let's just take a second to appreciate how insane this Vivi situation has become. Because a few years ago, no one would have expected the kindest, most normal royal in the series to suddenly be the centerpiece of what might be the final war. I mean, Vivi started as this undercover rebel in Alabasta, throwing down with Crocodile and choosing friendship over politics. And now we're talking about her being possibly connected to Uranus, one of the 3 most dangerous forces in the entire world. That's wild. And the more you think about it, the more sense it weirdly makes. Like, Oda has been sneaky consistent with lineage-based power, Shirahoshi being Poseidon, Momonosuke controlling Zunesha like he's some ancient voice from the past, and now Vivi, who's not only royalty but tied to Lily, the only one of the 20 kings who didn't play along with the celestial dragon nonsense. Lily literally left the group chat, and now it's looking like she might have been the first body Imu used. Some fans on Reddit have even suggested Lily's body could be Imu's original vessel, and Vivi is the next in line, almost like the reincarnation system from Naruto, but with horrifying consequences. And if we go even deeper, there's something haunting about the way Oda frames Gunko. The idea that this massive, terrifying beast might have once been a princess just like Vivi, that's not just a dark twist, it's a warning. It's Oda saying, hey, the stakes aren't just political anymore, we're in soul territory now. If Imu really is body hopping through royal lineages tied to ancient weapons, it makes the whole idea of fate versus free will in One Piece even more terrifying. Like, what if Vivi's choice isn't whether to join the Straw Hats again, but whether to resist a possession that's literally in her bloodline. And honestly, that's the kind of plotline only Oda would sneak in like 5 arcs after we last saw her. At this point, you really have to hand it to Oda. He somehow made Vivy, the girl who cried in Alabasta and waved goodbye with a broken heart, potentially the most dangerous person alive. And the best part? He did it so slowly, so subtly, that most of us didn't even notice it happening. Like, we were too busy theorizing about Joy Boy and Nika. And meanwhile, Vivy was quietly becoming the last piece on the board. What fans are starting to realize, and you'll see this all over theory threads, is that Vivy's story might not just intersect with the final war. It might be the catalyst that sets it all off. And if Imu's after her, not just to kill her, but to use her, then we're not looking at a war for freedom anymore. We're looking at a battle for identity, for control over who gets to shape the world next. That's a different kind of scary, and let's be real. If this turns out to be true, then Vivy might end up standing at the same level of importance as Luffy himself, which is kind of poetic, considering she's the only one who technically turned down joining the crew. Full circle, right? But hey, if there's one thing we've learned about Oda, it's that he loves to hide the biggest truths in plain sight, sometimes in a tear-stained goodbye, sometimes in a random Reverie flashback, and sometimes in a silent, eerie stare from a shadow sitting on the empty throne. So yeah, keep your eyes on Vivy, because the next time she shows up, it might not be as a princess. It might be something far more powerful and far more tragic.